Welcome to Liberty Coin's value. Have you ever imagined that a simple 1986 USA 1-cent coin, something most of us overlook or leave forgotten in drawers, could actually be worth a staggering $32 million? Welcome to Liberty Coin's value, where today we dive deep into one of the most astonishing stories in numismatic history, a tiny copper-plated piece of metal that has captured the imagination of collectors and treasure hunters worldwide. The 1986 1-cent coin, also known as the Lincoln Memorial Cent, may seem ordinary at first glance, but beneath its modest surface lies a series of fascinating errors, minting mysteries, and rare variations that elevate its worth into the millions. Let's take a journey through time, metal composition, minting processes, and collector frenzy to understand why this humble penny can command a jaw-dropping price tag that rivals luxury homes and rare gemstones. The story of the 1986 penny begins in the heart of the U.S. Mint's modernization era, when production was transitioning into high-speed automated systems that often brought unexpected mistakes. During this period, the Mint at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco produced billions of pennies, but among them, a few extraordinary examples slipped through with anomalies so rare that they defied normal valuation logic. One of the key reasons behind the astronomical worth of this 1986 coin lies in its potential minting errors, those freak occurrences that create unique pieces instantly recognized as treasures. Some examples of the 1986 penny have been reported with double die obverse, where Abraham Lincoln's face or the inscriptions such as "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" appear slightly doubled under magnification. This doubling effect occurs when the coin die strikes the blank planchet twice but slightly off alignment, leaving ghostly images that make collectors' hearts race. Another rare error that adds to the coin's mystique is the off-center strike, where part of the design spills outside the coin's border, creating a visibly misaligned appearance. In some extreme cases, the date, 1986, or even Lincoln's head may be partially cut off, turning the coin into a one-of-a-kind collectible that defies replication. But what truly separates the most valuable 1986 penny, the one rumored to be worth $32 million, from ordinary examples is a composition anomaly. After 1982, the U.S. Mint switched from using 95% copper and 5% zinc to a cheaper, lighter composition of 97.5% zinc and a thin copper plating. However, a handful of transitional errors occurred where leftover copper planchets were mistakenly used in later years, including 1986. When such a coin is found, its weight, 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams, immediately identifies it as a transitional rarity. These copper-based 1986 pennies are almost mythical, as they are believed to be the result of Mint employees unknowingly using old blanks from the copper era, making them priceless relics of a bygone minting phase. Imagine the thrill of finding such a penny among your spare change, a coin that could fund an entire future just because of a small oversight in metal inventory. But beyond composition, collectors also cherish variations in die cracks, cuds, lamination errors, and broad strikes. Each imperfection tells a story about the minting process and human craftsmanship at a time when technology was evolving but not yet perfect. Some 1986 pennies show tiny die breaks around Lincoln's head, giving the illusion of extra letters or shapes, while others have dramatic lamination peels revealing the zinc core beneath the copper coating. To the untrained eye, these might look like damage, but to a professional numismatist, they represent a valuable fingerprint of mint history. Another fascinating aspect contributing to the coin's immense value is provenance and condition. Coins certified by reputable grading agencies like PCGS or NGC can fetch incredible prices, especially if they are rated MS 68 or higher, virtually flawless examples that sparkle with mint luster even decades later. The rumored $32 million 1986 penny, as the story goes, was found in near-perfect uncirculated condition, with stunning toning and sharply defined features that made it stand out as if it had just rolled off the press yesterday. Add to that the excitement of collectors bidding against each other in elite auctions, and you can see how the value skyrockets. Auctions often fuel legends. Once a coin crosses $1 million mark, its fame snowballs, attracting more attention and higher offers from those eager to own a piece of minting legend. Another reason behind the enormous hype around the 1986 1-cent coin is the mystery surrounding its origin. Some believe it was part of a special test strike batch or a presentation piece accidentally released into circulation. Others speculate that it might have been struck on a foreign planchet intended for another denomination, like a cent made on a dime planchet, extremely thin, light, and silvery, defying the expectations of a normal penny. Such off-metal strikes are holy grails in the coin world, commanding astronomical sums because they exist due to improbable minting accidents that the mint itself can barely explain. The allure of the 1986 penny also lies in its connection to American history. The Lincoln cent has been in continuous production since 1909, representing not just currency but a symbol of national legacy. Every collector knows that owning a unique variation of a Lincoln cent feels like holding a tangible piece of U.S. heritage, a link between everyday life and historical artistry. By 1986, Ronald Reagan was president, the economy was booming, and technology was reshaping industries, including coin manufacturing. Yet, amidst all this progress, human error still had its place, giving rise to treasures that the machines could not predict. Some 1986 pennies also carry die polishing marks, fine lines that occur when mint workers clean dies to remove debris. These marks sometimes intersect with Lincoln's features or the memorial building on the reverse, creating subtle patterns that add intrigue and rarity. And then there are repunched mint marks, small d or s mint marks that appear double due to manual punching inconsistencies. Such coins, particularly those with strong doubling, can command thousands or even millions of dollars at auction, especially when the story behind them captures collectors' imaginations. Another compelling element is the public fascination with hidden treasures. Over the years, viral stories of people discovering fortune in their loose change have inspired millions to recheck their old jars and drawers. The legend of the $32 million 1986 penny fits perfectly into that narrative, a reminder that extraordinary value can hide in plain sight. Stories of janitors, school teachers, or retirees stumbling upon rare pennies have fueled a global hunt, driving both curiosity and demand. The emotional thrill of possibly finding a multimillion-dollar coin adds psychological worth that can't be measured in metal alone. When media outlets pick up such tales, values surge overnight as collectors scramble to verify and authenticate potential finds. The psychology of rarity also plays a huge role. There may only be one or two known examples of this 1986 rarity, and when something becomes that scarce, traditional pricing models collapse. The coin ceases to be an object of trade, it becomes art, legacy, and prestige combined. Wealthy investors, museum curators, and private collectors enter bidding wars not just to own the coin but to cement their place in history. After all, when you possess a coin valued at $32 million, you're not just holding metal, you're holding the culmination of human craftsmanship, historical continuity, and the unpredictable nature of chance. Another factor that adds depth to the story of the 1986 penny is the rise of modern coin grading and encapsulation. Before the 1990s, many rare coins circulated freely or sat unprotected in jars, but once professional grading companies established rigorous standards, values skyrocketed as the market gained confidence in authenticity and condition. A flawless 1986 penny with even the slightest known error would immediately become the centerpiece of any serious collection. The coin market's speculative nature also fuels such legends. As more investors turn to collectibles as tangible assets, the idea of owning the rarest penny from 1986 becomes an irresistible proposition. Furthermore, this coin's enduring appeal is amplified by the cultural symbolism of the penny itself. Despite being the smallest denomination, the penny carries immense sentimental weight in American culture. Phrases like, "a penny saved is a penny earned," or the superstition of picking up a lucky penny tie deep emotional meaning to this coin. When that symbolic coin happens to be worth millions, it transforms from a symbol of thrift to one of destiny. Some numismatists believe that the 1986 penny's extreme value reflects more than its physical attributes, it represents the intersection of luck, rarity, and human fascination with imperfections. Minting errors remind us that even the most controlled systems can produce anomalies, and it is those anomalies that become legends. In essence, the 1986 1-cent piece worth $32 million is more than just a coin, it's a phenomenon. It demonstrates how small details, like a misalignment or a leftover copper blank, can alter history's course. Its value also serves as a metaphor for overlooked potential, how something ordinary can hide extraordinary worth. It challenges people to pay attention, to look closer at the mundane, and to discover beauty in flaws. This particular coin's journey from factory floor to fame embodies the unpredictability that keeps numismatics alive and thrilling. Next. The 1991 1-cent coin that's rumored to be worth a staggering $12 million because of its unbelievable errors and mysterious background that continue to captivate numismatists and treasure hunters around the globe. And if you're one of those people who've ever wondered how an ordinary penny could transform into a piece of history carrying life-changing value, then this story will pull you in completely, because this 1991 penny is not just a coin, it's a symbol of how small mistakes at the mint, combined with rarity, condition, and timing, can create something so extraordinary that its value defies logic and expectation. So let's take you on this long and detailed journey through every element that makes the 1991 1-cent coin a million-dollar legend. Imagine holding in your hand a small, reddish-brown copper-plated zinc coin weighing 2.5 grams, barely the size of your fingertip, yet having the power to change your life forever. And that's exactly what this coin represents, a simple 1991 Lincoln cent that, due to a combination of minting anomalies, misstrikes, and historical context, has become one of the most valuable error coins known to collectors. To understand why, we first need to step back and look at the year 1991 itself, a period when the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies across multiple facilities including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Mint's transition from primarily copper to copper-plated zinc had been completed by the early 1980s, but problems persisted. By 1991, the production process had improved, but not enough to prevent small and rare minting errors from slipping through, and some of these errors became legendary. One of the most striking possibilities that makes a 1991 1-cent coin so valuable is the double die obverse, where the image of Abraham Lincoln's face or the inscriptions such as "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" appear doubled due to misalignment during the hubbing process. This kind of error gives the coin a distinct, almost shadowed appearance, which collectors adore because it represents a rare mechanical glitch in an otherwise highly standardized minting process. A strong double die on a 1991 penny, especially if in pristine condition, could immediately attract massive interest from collectors, driving its value from a few cents to tens of thousands, or even millions if combined with other unique factors like being struck on the wrong planchet or in a proof finish by accident. But the story doesn't end there. Another factor that catapults some 1991 pennies into astronomical value is the possibility of being struck on the wrong metal planchet. Occasionally, a leftover copper planchet from 1982 or an experimental alloy piece might have slipped into the minting presses. A 1991 penny struck on a 95% copper planchet instead of the standard zinc one would weigh 3.1 grams instead of 2.5 grams, and that tiny difference could mean a massive payday. Such off-metal strikes are extremely rare and highly desirable because they provide a glimpse into human error and oversight in a highly mechanized system. Now imagine discovering a 1991 penny that not only shows a doubling on the obverse but also happens to be struck on a copper planchet from nearly a decade earlier. That combination alone could make the coin's estimated auction value skyrocket to millions, as collectors would fight tooth and nail to own such a piece of numismatic history. Then we have the off-center strike errors, where the design is imprinted off the coin's center, leaving part of the blank planchet visible. A dramatically off-center strike with clear details of Lincoln's portrait and the date still visible could bring immense value. Similarly, broad strikes, where the coin expands beyond its normal rim, or partial collar strikes, which give the coin a railroad rim appearance, are examples of minting oddities that turn normal coins into rare treasures. Another rare phenomenon that occasionally appears in 1991 cents involves die cracks or die breaks. These are raised lines or blobs of metal that form when the die used to strike the coins develops a fracture. Some collectors even nickname them cuds, and depending on the size and placement of the cud, the coin could become an instant collector's item. One particular example that has been documented involves a large die break along the rim above Lincoln's head, forming what looks like a crown, an eye-catching imperfection that enhances desirability and adds to the legend of the 1991 cent. And then there are the coins struck through foreign materials, where grease, tape, or even fragments of other coins got stuck between the die and the planchet during striking. The result is a coin with missing letters or distorted features, each one unique and unrepeatable, making them highly collectible. Imagine a 1991 penny missing part of the word "Liberty" or showing an incomplete strike on Lincoln's face. These quirky yet authentic errors tell stories of the intense industrial environment inside the U.S. Mint and the human imperfections that creep into even the most automated processes. Beyond physical errors, there's also the question of provenance and condition. Coins graded by reputable services like PCGS or NGC as MS-70 or even MS-69, near-perfect condition, carry significant premium value, especially if accompanied by certification of unique errors. A 1991 penny with both an error and perfect mint state condition could easily become one of the most sought-after pieces in modern numismatics. The rarity and condition combination makes the difference between a few dollars and millions. Let's also consider the historical and emotional value attached to the Lincoln cent. Abraham Lincoln's image has been on the penny since 1909, making it the longest-running design in U.S. coinage history. Collectors are drawn to the Lincoln series not just for its artistic and patriotic value but also because of the nostalgia and history it represents. Every small change or error becomes a story connected to America's past. The 1991 penny, sitting at the crossroads of the late 20th century, embodies that blend of tradition and transition. By this time, the coin's composition had changed, the minting technology had evolved, yet it was still carrying Lincoln's familiar face, a reminder that even the most ordinary coin can carry extraordinary secrets. The mystery around the $12 million 1991 1-cent lies in a combination of unconfirmed but rumored discoveries, including a few privately held specimens that exhibit both dramatic die doubling and wrong planchet strikes, combined with near-perfect preservation. Some collectors claim these coins were never meant to leave the mint, possibly test strikes or transitional pieces accidentally released into circulation, making them as rare as they come. And when rarity meets curiosity, market value explodes. Imagine the auction scene, collectors from around the world, hands raised, hearts pounding, bidding higher and higher for what appears to be a simple penny but is actually a tangible artifact of minting history, a symbol of error, chance, and value beyond comprehension. The final hammer drops, the price reaches millions, and the world takes notice. The story spreads across forums, YouTube channels, and coin collector magazines, fueling the legend of the 1991 cent that could make someone rich overnight. For those who wonder if they might have one in their own pocket change, the possibilities are worth exploring. Start by examining any 1991 pennies you have under a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Look for signs of doubling on the letters, unusual coloring, misalignment, or weight differences. If you find one that seems off, weigh it. If it's closer to 3.1 grams, you might be holding one struck on a copper planchet. If it looks off-center or the design appears ghosted, you might have a mint error. Don't clean it, don't polish it, those actions can ruin its value. Instead, store it carefully and consider professional grading. Some of the most valuable coins discovered by average people were found in junk drawers, old coffee cans, or inherited coin jars. The magic of coin collecting is that the next $1 million discovery could literally be sitting unnoticed in someone's kitchen cabinet right now. Many coins like the 1991 cent gain their fame not overnight but through the slow buildup of collector buzz, research, and verified discoveries. Once authenticated by professional grading companies, their stories become immortalized. Auctions by Heritage, Stack's Bowers, and other major houses have shown that modern era coins can command astronomical prices, especially when only a handful exist. Think of the 1943 copper penny that sold for over $1 million, or the 1955 double die that became one of the most famous coins in U.S. history. The 1991 cent joins that legacy, a piece from the modern minting era with the potential to rival older legends in value and fame. When stories like this spread, they spark renewed interest in numismatics, inspiring a new generation of collectors to look closer at their change, to appreciate the art and precision behind coin production, and to recognize that even a simple cent can become a piece of history. There's also the emotional thrill of discovery, the idea that you, an everyday person, could uncover a $12 million coin that's been passed through countless hands unnoticed. That hope drives collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike. The 1991 penny teaches us that value isn't always about gold or silver, it's about rarity, story, and circumstance. Last. Today we're diving deep into one of the most surprising discoveries in modern coin collecting history, the 1989 Lincoln 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, investors, and enthusiasts alike with a rumored value reaching as high as $8 million, all because of a series of minting mistakes, rare errors, and mysterious production quirks that transformed an ordinary penny into a once-in-a-lifetime collectible. Imagine holding a small copper-plated zinc coin that millions of people have in jars, drawers, and pockets, but this particular one, this 1989 penny, is unlike any other, and it carries the weight of numismatic intrigue that makes it worth more than luxury cars, lavish mansions, or even some precious gemstones. The story behind this coin is as fascinating as it is unlikely, a mixture of minting anomalies, mechanical blunders, human oversight, and the unpredictable nature of mass production that gives rise to incredibly rare variations collectors dream about finding. To understand why a coin minted in 1989 with a tiny D beneath the date could ever be worth millions, we have to explore what makes it unique, how those errors came to be, and why such mistakes are not only treasured but also sometimes nearly impossible to reproduce intentionally, giving authenticity to its value. First, we have to look at the context of the year 1989. The Denver Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents, each a small 2.5-gram coin made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. But even with precision machinery, the U.S. Mint is not immune to small variations, and in rare cases, these imperfections create coins that defy the odds and turn into historical artifacts. Among the most notable possibilities with the 1989 D penny are doubled dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, wrong planchets, broad strikes, and even transitional errors, each capable of adding immense value. The most discussed and perhaps the most famous of these is the doubled die obverse error. This happens when the die that strikes the coin shifts slightly between hub impressions, causing the design elements, such as the date, lettering, or Lincoln's profile, to appear doubled. For the 1989 D penny, reports of strong doubling on Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date itself have made collectors rush to check their change for this elusive variant. A bold doubling can instantly transform a 1-cent coin into something worth thousands or even millions when authenticated, because it becomes not just a mint error but a piece of history showing how even the U.S. Mint's quality control can let something extraordinary slip through. Then there are off-center strikes, coins struck when the planchet isn't perfectly centered between the dies, resulting in partial designs or missing features. The degree of off-centering matters greatly. A mild one might be worth only a few dollars, but a perfectly dramatic 50% off-center strike, especially if it still shows the date and mint mark, could reach astronomical figures among serious error collectors. Some 1989 D pennies have been spotted with Lincoln's face partially missing or the rim blending unevenly, signs that the planchet wasn't seated properly during minting. Add to that the charm of a coin that still shows a full D mint mark, and you've got a specimen that borders on the mythical. Another extraordinary error possibility for the 1989 D penny is a wrong planchet error, meaning the penny was struck on a metal blank meant for another denomination. Imagine a 1989 D Lincoln cent struck on a dime planchet, thinner, smaller, and made of a different metal composition. Such an error would make the coin lighter, silvery in color, and incredibly valuable, as it defies both physical and procedural expectations of the minting process. There have even been whispers in collector circles of 1989 D cents struck on experimental copper or bronze planchets, an echo of the composition shift of 1982 when the U.S. Mint transitioned from 95% copper to a copper-plated zinc core. If even one 1989 D coin was struck mistakenly on leftover pre-1982 copper blanks, its intrinsic rarity would catapult its value into the millions, since it would represent a transitional relic bridging two eras of U.S. coinage. Weight testing can often reveal such anomalies. A standard zinc penny weighs about 2.5 grams, but a copper one would weigh around 3.1 grams, a subtle but significant difference that could spell the difference between pocket change and a fortune. Another fascinating error possibility is the broad strike, which occurs when the coin is struck without the collar die that normally shapes its edge. Without that containment, the metal spreads outward during striking, resulting in a slightly larger, distorted coin with soft rims. For a 1989 D penny, a broad strike with a visible date and clear details could be highly sought after because it represents both a mechanical failure and an aesthetic oddity, where the familiar Lincoln design appears stretched like a melted snapshot in time. Equally intriguing are die cracks and die breaks, natural occurrences in overused minting equipment that can create raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface. These are often called cuds when part of the die face breaks away completely, leaving a raised, unstruck area on the finished coin. A 1989 D cent with a prominent cud, especially one intersecting Lincoln's portrait or key lettering, is not just an error but a small geological landscape of minting history frozen in metal. Even more dramatic are multiple strikes, coins that were struck more than once, either intentionally during mechanical malfunction or due to ejection failure, producing ghostly overlapping images of Lincoln or the memorial reverse. Such coins immediately draw attention because they show visible motion, as if the coin tells a story of chaos inside the coining press. One of the rarest and most talked about varieties linked with the 1989 D-penny involves the repunched mint mark, or RPM. Before the mid-1990s, mint marks were punched into dies manually, meaning any slight misalignment could create overlapping D impressions. Some 1989 D-pennies show clear evidence of this, with a second faint D slightly offset from the primary one, creating a unique fingerprint of human error. Collectors adore these small but telling signs of craftsmanship and imperfection. Then there's the ghostly, floating roof effect found on some Lincoln Memorial reverse designs, where the top of the memorial appears detached due to die polishing or metal flow, a minor detail, but one that adds charm and curiosity to an already interesting coin. Add in possible die deterioration, doubling, plating bubbles, and lamination errors where the thin copper layer peels or flakes, and suddenly this coin becomes a playground of minting mysteries. What makes the 1989 D-penny so compelling isn't just one single known error but the spectrum of possibilities that could combine to make certain examples incredibly unique. A double die obverse paired with a misaligned die or struck through grease error, where parts of the design are missing due to clogged dies, could result in a coin so unique that it becomes one of one, a piece impossible to replicate. That's where the astronomical value comes in: rarity, uniqueness, and verified authenticity. Professional coin graders and authenticators like PCGS and NGC play a crucial role in certifying these coins, and when one 1989 D cent surfaced with a combination of striking irregularities, verified under magnification and confirmed as genuine by multiple experts, it sent shockwaves through the coin collecting world. The fascination lies not only in the value but in the fact that this coin embodies the unpredictability of human and machine interaction, something produced in a government facility meant to create perfect uniformity, and yet it resulted in a masterpiece of imperfection. The story of how such a coin could fetch $8 million at auction comes down to a blend of scarcity, collector passion, and historical significance. Coins are like time capsules, and when one displays undeniable proof of mint error that can be documented, photographed, and preserved, its value becomes limitless to the right bidder. The 1989 D-penny's legend grew as stories of similar coins fetching tens or hundreds of thousands spread across coin forums and auctions, but this particular example, authenticated, pristine, and bearing unrepeatable mint errors, became a holy grail in American numismatics. It stands as a reminder that sometimes, the smallest imperfections can yield the largest rewards. Even more fascinating is how everyday people discover these coins. Many high-value pennies have been found in circulation, tossed aside or overlooked for decades, only to be rediscovered by a keen eye with a magnifying glass. Stories circulate of coin roll hunters, metal detectorists, and even children sorting through old jars finding coins that defy belief. Each 1989 D-penny someone finds now sparks hope that it might be the one, the $8 million marvel that rewrites what's possible for pocket change. Experts have traced some of these errors to specific die pairs used briefly before being retired or replaced, meaning only a handful of examples could exist, if any others survived. This fleeting existence makes them far more valuable than coins that were mass-produced with more common imperfections. Furthermore, the 1989 D-penny carries historical weight as part of the last era of classic memorial reverse designs before design transitions in later years brought new aesthetics to the Lincoln cent.